Your hidden glory in creation, now revealed in you are Christ. What a beautiful name it is. What a beautiful name it is. You sing. The name of Jesus Christ. What a beautiful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a beautiful name it is. The name of Jesus. He didn't want heaven without us. So Jesus, you brought heaven down. My sin was great, your love was greater. What could separate us now? What a wonderful name it is. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a wonderful name it is. Nothing compares to this. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus. What a wonderful name it is. The name of Jesus. How good you are. I love to sing it, love to sing it for you. I could not hold you, things open for you. You silenced the ghost of sin and grave. The heavens are roaring, the praise of you, Lord. For you are raised to life again. You have no rival, you have no equal. Now and forever, God, you reign. Yours is the kingdom, yours is the glory, yours is the name above all names. What a powerful name it is. What a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus Christ, my King. What a powerful name it is. Nothing can stand against. What a powerful name it is. The name of Jesus.
Hi, good. Welcome everyone, and welcome to becoming a consultant to Kings. Let me remove this. Uh, Welcome to becoming a consultant to Kings, or what we have had to call becoming a consultant to leaders, so that we could actually um, properly from the title um, direct the attention of everyone that sees our invitation to the fact that we are very balanced, and actually it contextualizes what we're doing. And so in the first, what I'm going to do today, this second part, the first part, I'll be sharing the link with you. Uh, in the in this second part, I will the focus would be on these people of influence. In the first part, we looked at you unveiling your capacity. Short while I'll just do a recap for those of us just joining for the very first time that you didn't participate in the first part. So I'll just do a recap of what the first part was, and then we dive into the second part. Okay, so let's just go. For everyone watching, thank you very much. My name is Olumuyiwa Akinrole Oludayo, right? So when we started in the first part, we are exploring the entire essence of this series of learning is to explore proven and biblical principles for helping people of influence to solve their problems. I have found out that there are proofs to show that leaders need guidance. There are proofs to show that leaders need guidance in the district of their assignment, whether they be in the corporate world or the religious, educational, or political scenarios of life. They need help. They need support. All leaders do need support. And very precisely, I know in the 1937 Brownlow Committee in the United States of America, there was a recommendation that followed for the effective functioning of the office of the President of the United States. And in that committee exclaimed in their report that the president needs help. And this report led to the creation of roles for advisors in the office of the President of the United States. So what we're doing follows through from the fact that there are people of influence that have needs. Then how do we as individuals position ourselves to be able to support them with the required help that they need, all right? So when we started, the first part was focused on you. And I said there that we're unveiling your capacity to solve problems. And I tried to identify something that I call 5 things I called the influencers of your capacity, the things that influence what you are able to do. The first was attributes. And I said, you have traits that qualify you as a rallying point for solution seekers. You have traits, or you have to develop traits, whichever one. You have traits that qualify you as a rallying point for solution seekers, and you ought to develop traits also that can qualify you as a rallying point for solution seekers. And I tried to identify about 6 of these, I think about seven of these traits that you might need to either develop or pay attention to. Number 1 is advancing personality. You must be someone that is purposeful in the things that you're doing. All right. So you need to develop these. You need to develop this trait of being resolute in the things that you do. Number 2 trait or attribute is that you must be a contribution-driven person. You need to demonstrate your ability to collaborate and cooperate with people to produce results. You need to demonstrate the ability to collaborate and cooperate with people to produce results. Your motivation at work must always show your readiness to work with other people. The third attribute I mentioned in the first part is that you must be self-improvement oriented. And I said there that you are not good enough to remain the way you are. You are not good enough to remain the way you are. The fourth attribute is that you must be sensitive to opportunities and you must be adaptable, okay? Being creative about the demands of situations around you. You need to be able to demonstrate the ability to be responsive to change within the scope of the work that you're doing, okay? That's the fourth. The fifth attribute is that you must be growth focused. People of influence want to associate with those that are focused on progress. You need to show your consistency in the way you get things done. Just keep progressing, keep making progress. Just show some consistency in growth. The next is resourcefulness. You need to know how to generate solutions. You must be able to show that you are a creative force, all right? Demonstrate your giftedness in your quick-wittedness. You must be characterized with the traits of inventiveness, all right? Because people will gravitate towards you the moment they know that you are not always finding yourself in a fix. And the last trait is that you must be people-centered. You must be people-centered, all right? You must be people-centered. One distinguishing quality you need to have when helping other people to solve their problems is to focus on people as your critical success lever. Being people-centered means you value others and know how to relate with them to deliver great outcomes. So that's the first influencer of your capacity that we mentioned in the part one. The second was skills. In talking about skills, we said it is not enough to have an idea about how to get things done. You must show mastery. Okay, and we looked at your skill expressed in three ways. Number one, we said your skill can be expressed as a conceptual skill. That is, you need to possess the ability to handle complex situations in very simple ways. Friends, you see, when you know how to comprehend and resolve intricate issues, your value is enhanced. When you know how to comprehend and resolve intricate issues, your value is enhanced. The second element of the skill we mentioned in that part one is interpersonal skills. Valuing people and managing relationships is an essential ability every advisor must possess. You need to know how to win with people. It's a rare quality. You need to know how to win with people. Okay. The third element of skill is your technical skill. And this skill is often very specific to the job or your profession or to the things that you want to do. You need to know your craft before you can begin to demonstrate mastery in it. You don't start a master class when you're an apprentice, okay? That's what I mean there. So technical skills, you need to hone your skills. This is the ability that defines your expertise in a particular field. And so those were the three expressions of your skills that we identified under the influencer, the second influencers of your capacity. The third influencer of your capacity is knowledge. Okay, so we said that your capacity to deliver results is also greatly dependent on your knowledge, what you know. And you see, friends, your knowledge becomes very vital to your endeavors. Your knowledge, what you know, becomes very vital to your endeavors when it has value. Number one, value. Now, value there suggests to us that the usefulness of your knowledge is in its value to the cause that you are advancing. What exactly do you know? Endeavor to acquire knowledge that can contribute. The key word there is contribution. The knowledge that can contribute to realizing the goals of the person of influence that you are relating with. The second element of knowledge, which is very vital, is relevance. When did you acquire knowledge? And the key word here is currency. Acquire knowledge such that its usefulness can have a demonstrable bearing on current issues. See, friends, it's not enough to know something that is already stale, right? It's not enough to know something that is already stale. Let whatever you know be current. Number three is a quality. And the quality here focuses on the process. How exactly did you acquire knowledge? The means by which you obtained your knowledge determines how credible it is. The quality of your knowledge is often influenced by the credibility of its source. That's the third influence of your capacity that we talked about. The fourth is validations. Yes, you have claimed that you have capacity, but you need to prove it. It's not enough to say you are able to do certain things. You must be able to back them up with proofs. And I gave two examples of proofs that you can have. Number one is certifications. So you need credentials. Your credentials show your qualifications and they show how suitable you are for roles and opportunities. And this always, all of the time, will serve as a formal attestation of your knowledge and skills. The second element of your validation is your references. You need people, other people, to affirm that you are who you claim to be. And recommendations oftentimes are sources of information needed to ascertain the validity of your claims of competence. The fifth and final influence of your capacity that we talked about is experience. Another way to demonstrate your competence to deliver results is by situating your previous activities. You know, experience talks about the things that you've been a part of. So you need to know how to document the things that you have been involved with and courses that you've participated in. All of this qualifies you to be a rallying point for those looking for solutions to their problems. And you can acquire experience from internships, from volunteering, by starting a project, and by networking with people. And I said last week, I said, you don't know what you have until you ask those you know. You don't know what you have until you ask those you know. And many people suffer because they don't know what their network can offer them. All right. Having talked about the influencers of your capacity, attributes, skills, knowledge, validations, and experience, and I tried to do what I call a signpost for relevance. That is, what exactly do you need to do, knowing that your success in solving problems begins with you? What exactly do you need to begin to do, knowing that success in solving other people's problems begins with you? Remember, today we are unveiling your capacity to solve problems, so the focus is on you. So I tried to identify a few things here and what I did last week. Just to recap. Number one is clarify your definition of success. Friends, if you don't know how to measure success, you can never be able to tell the worth of the outcomes of your personal investments. Many of us are investing and investing and investing. We're doing certain things. We're committing energy, we're committing time and resources. But really, see, if you don't know what success is, if you've not defined it, the outcomes you get, you can tell whether they are whether they are critical indicators of success or not. So clarify your definition of success. Number two is that you must clarify your philosophical base. Friends, your pursuit must be nurtured by attitudes that will act as guiding principles for your conduct. You must have a principle upon which you would behave. Identify the basis upon which you will behave. You must never be given to moral relativism or situational ethics. The third, a signpost of relevance that I mentioned, was that you choose a direction to follow. What is the essence of speed when you're facing the wrong direction? It's important to know what path to follow. Ensure that in choosing a path to follow, your desire for usefulness must align with your desire for self-fulfillment. Okay. Number four, we said commit to planning. A plan shows that you have the nerve to be very methodical in your pursuits. Commit to planning. When designing the plan, ensure that you take a path that is always inspiring. Okay. Number five, we talked about committing to efficiency. I said there that money is a reward for solving problems, and time is a resource required to solve problems. So time and money seem to be very critical resources when we talk about efficiency. Ensure that you maximize time and ensure that you get value for the money. Number six, commit to personal development. No one is good enough to remain the same. Commit yourself to self-improvement. That is one way of keeping up with the rapid changes in this world. Number seven, we said nurture meaningful relationships. In nurturing relationships, choose those above you for insight. Choose those at your level for support, and choose those below you for impact. Choose those above you for insight. You look up to them for insight. Those around you at your level, your contemporaries, look to them for support, right? And those below you, those who are maybe your team members that are just growing up, those who have early career stages, look to them for impact. You need to be able to show how you can generate results and impact through them, right? And finally, number eight is nurture a sense of humor. Many a times we are too serious. We don't take time to amuse ourselves. We move past pleasant things so quickly that we don't notice that we have missed beauty. All right. So today, part two, the focus is on understanding the needs of those people of influence. And I'm going to be doing a bit of biblical exposition here. The goal of this part is to explore the nature of the people that we intend to support with ideas, the people that want to support with concepts, those people that want to support with insights. And it's also important to know their diverse needs so we can be able to determine what ways will be most effective and efficient in helping them solve their problems. And so In this first part, I'll be looking at what I call the portrait of influence. There are three elements of what I'm going to be sharing today. The portrait of the person of influence, that is the first part. In the second part, I will explore the needs of these influential people. And then in the third part, I will share with you how you can become associated with these people of influence. So those three things, what I'm going to share today. So I like you to just fasten your seatbelt and let's do this. Okay. All right. So have your notes. A fainter's handwriting lasts longer than the sharpest memory. So you may not want to be able to commit all these things to heart if you just listen. So if you're in a place where you can write something down, please do right. Okay. So the portrait of the person of influence. And so in this section, I share 7 distinguishing patterns of the people of influence, and you will find here that these people, like what has made the people very relevant to society, what has made them to accumulate great resources, people, human and non-human resources, financial and non-financial resources. You find in these 7 distinguishing patterns what has made them very instrumental to the lot of changes that we see in society. Why have they become? We can always attribute a lot of the changes we see in the society to them, and it's important to know how. So I'll give you these attributes or traits of these people, very distinguishing patterns. Number 1 is that these people have discovered their areas of interest. I remember growing up in the university, the chancellor of my university and one of my friends, DG, can always attest to this, and my friend Stephen also can attest to this. We'll always hear the word, where do you find yourself making your utmost contribution in life? That phrase has not left us. And that phrase, that question, where do you find yourself making your utmost contribution in life, is a question that triggers a journey to discovery. And so the people of influence, and we're hearing this from someone of influence anyway, someone of great influence. And so he was the one, that was Bishop David Oyedepo. He was talking to us and was like, where do you see yourself making your utmost contribution to life? And what I know is that for the people of influence, they have discovered their areas of interest. And they have discovered this by paying attention to 3 things. Number 1, their passion. You see, influential people know that when they have a strong feeling or excitement for something, it's a signal that something that they can commit their time and energy to is around. So when they have a strong feeling or excitement for something, it's a signal that they should commit their time and energy to it. So one way they discover their interest is by their passion, all right? Number 2 is their potentials. Their potentials. Influential people know their latent and untapped qualities. They know the things that they have not maximized. They know the abilities that they have left untapped. Okay? They know where they need to pay attention to for future development so that they can become more relevant to society. There are things that they want to do and they know that they have abilities to do, but they have not done. So you know what? They found the flame of such latent abilities. And so that's the second way they discovered their areas of interest. The third is societal gaps. You see, these people of influence are gap fillers. They deliberately and intentionally spot differences between what is and what should be. And they cover such gaps by rendering service to those who need it. So there is what is, and there is what should be, and these influential people, you know what do what? They become bridge builders. They become bridge builders. So they connect what is to be. So they build a bridge around it, or they fill the void around it. Be in between it. Okay. So number 1 trait of these people of influence is that they have discovered their areas of interest, and they do this by looking at their passion, looking at their potential, untapped qualities, and looking at societal gaps. The second distinguishing trait of these people of influence is that they have developed or are developing competence in their area of interest. They have developed or are developing competence in their areas of interest. one great denominator of these influential people is that they know very clearly that they are not good enough to remain the same. And I remember some time ago, there's a man of influence that told me his story. He told me that he was about to invest in a farm. He was going to start an agriculture driven project. And at the time, he knew nothing about agriculture. He knew nothing about agriculture. But you see, he had financial resources. He had the money. He possibly had access to just hire the people that could do the job. But he himself had no knowledge, at least basic knowledge that can allow him either lead or influence those who are leading that project. So he said to me, he said, Muyiwa, I had to go hire a consultant who had to school me and guide me into at least the basic rudiments of an agric enterprise, because it's not going to be good for me to just commit money and I don't know what I'm doing about it. So, in fact, friends, that's where I came into, it was from that conversation I coined the phrase, don't invest in a venture you cannot investigate. And so he developed competence. And when people are developing competence, these people of influence, they focus on, say, 5 things. One is their credentials. They seek formal and possibly informal means to keep up to date with the information and events that are disrupting the industry they have found themselves in. You see, let's acquire certifications. Go and learn and get validations for it. And this is what these people of influence do. They get credentials. Whether formal credential or informal credentials, they ensure that they keep learning. They add to their store of knowledge. All right? The second way they develop their competence is by developing their personality. Influential people focus on developing a personality that is pleasing and fitting for the quest of adding value. Remember, their goal is to add value to society. And so they begin to develop a personality that is pleasing and fitting for the quest of adding value. The third thing in developing their competence that they do is that they build their skills. Influential people, they learn, they unlearn, and they relearn as many things as will make them a rallying point in achieving worthy goals. Number 4 is knowledge. What does people of influence do to build up their capacity is to have a high knowledge absorption quotient, what I call high knowledge absorption quotient. So they seek to aggregate information in whatever form so that it can influence the decisions they'll be making in their lives. So they have a very high knowledge absorption quotient. They are able to grasp so much, and in the next in a very short time, they can express it and teach it to somebody else. I mean, I don't know how many of us here on this call can acquire so much knowledge, right? You acquire so much knowledge that, let's say you learn a new language. If you learn a new language or you learn a new skill, how quickly can you teach someone? How quickly can you get someone else to learn or absorb those things? So that's how we measure the knowledge absorption quotient. That's a story for another day, right? It's not for today. Yeah. So that's the fourth thing they do to develop their competence in their area of interest. And the final thing they do is to gain experience. So in an attempt to improve their quality of engagements, they seek to be more involved in activities. So they get involved in more things. They get involved, they participate, and they also begin to partner with many people in order to broaden their scope of things and widen their perspective about the issues of life. So they don't just do the things that they want to do. They get involved in what other people are doing so that they can broaden their perspective about the issues of life. And so their first trait, I said they have discovered their areas of interest. Number 2, I said they have developed competence in their areas of interest. The third thing that these people do is that they render service based on their competence. That's the third trait of the people of influence. They render service, and oftentimes for earnings. They render service for rewards. Now, the rewards can be intrinsic rewards or extrinsic rewards. The rewards here can be financial or non-financial, whichever way. They render service for earnings based on their competence. No, because these people of influence know that the way to build relevance is by adding value to people, by solving their problems. And it takes competence to solve a problem. It takes competence to be able to overcome challenges. And because number two step I told you just now that they have developed competence. So in solving diverse problems, they know it is appropriate to charge a premium for their services. And so in rendering service based on their competence, the people of influence know the following. Number one, there must be a need for the service they seek to render. They don't just get up and do something. They do something that others will find needful and relevant to improve their lives. They don't just get up and do something. They do something that others will find needful and relevant to improve their lives. Okay, so there must be a need for the service that they seek to render. Number two thing that they pay attention to is that they have the capacity to render an excellent service. So for every need in society that they seek to meet, these influential people will advise that they develop capacity to respond to those needs. The required capacity here does not only have to be domiciled in you. You can leverage on other people's experiences, other people's energy. You can leverage on other people's money, other people's resources, all right? So, but you must have the capacity to render an excellent service. And the capacity here is not just domiciled in you, it's such that you can also leverage from other people. The third thing that you need to note that these people do when they are rendering service is that they make it difficult to replace themselves. See, influential people make themselves exceptional at what they do, so that anyone who seeks to dislodge them from being the go-to person will have a very daunting task to accomplish. So influential people do not just offer needed services, they also execute them with such excellence that it becomes the standard of reference for other similar services. And so mark any influential person that you work with. Their work or the outcomes of their effort always stands at the top of the industry or at the top of the sector they are in. And the reason is because they have made it difficult for themselves to be replaced. They have become a force to be reckoned with. Okay? So the fourth thing they need to do, or that the fourth traits that you need to know about these people is that, number one, I said they've discovered their areas of interest. Number two, they have developed or are developing competence in their areas of interest. Number three is that they are rendering service, or they will render service for earnings based on their competence. Number four is that they always endeavor to save from their earnings. Now, they save. The key word here is reserve. The key word here is reserve. You see, influential people have what I call financial reserves. They have people reserves. They have emotional reserves. They have physical reserves. You see, when you render service for earnings, when you get involved in activities with other people, you get rewards, and the rewards can come to you as, money. It can come to you as an addition to your network. It can come to you in several ways. And I mean, these influential people, they are not just marked by volume of income, but how much they set aside for goals and aspirations of the future. You see, friends, person who cannot save has not got the capacity of greatness in him, has not got a seed of greatness in him. I mean, if you remember the story of Joseph in the Bible, in early civilization, the story is told of the 7 years of abundance in Egypt and the consequent 7 years of scarcity. Now, the nation of Egypt was preserved from the pain of lack that came during famine because they had saved during the years of abundance. There'll be time that you will not be able to produce as much. I mean, there will be time. But when you can produce so much, but don't consume all that. Okay? So these people of influence know that it's not just enough to have rendered service and earned from the service. They know how to save. People save maybe for the rainy day or whatever. All right? They save. Number 5 is that these people of influence invest from what they have earned and what they have saved. Friends, look at this. Influential people know so well that the money earned and saved cannot have sufficient power, cannot have enough power to fund their great dreams and big projects. The earning capacity of investment, the things that you plow back, the things that you say, you know what, you go back and do this. The earning capacity of investment, they far outweigh that of savings. And I don't speak only in terms of financial investments now. I mean, social investments. If you give more into a relationship that you have just formed, if you keep giving back into that relationship, you earn more. You possibly get another node in your network. I mean, all of those things improve. So investment is all about allocating what you have earned or what you have saved to another venture and an expectation of some gain or profit in the defined future. And if we have to talk about financial investments here, maybe I'll just talk about financial investment a bit. There are quite a number of investment schemes or vehicles that influential people commit their resources to. I mean, so if these influential people had money or had some investment from the service they have rendered and they have earned a little bit of money from it and they have saved some of this money. So from what they have earned and saved, they invest in things like ownership investments. That is, they put their resources into being owners of assets that other people need to use. All right. So they put their resources in investments in stocks, in real estate, precious materials, and maybe business ventures. So they own it. So they commit their resources into the things that they can own. Number two is they commit themselves, their resources into what I call lending investments. So this kind of investment allow other people or organizations to use your resources with the expectation that you get a profitable repayment of this investment. And I mean, you can talk about bonds, certificates of deposit, treasury bills, and all of that. The third is maybe what we can call cash equivalents. So these people of influence also have what we call financial investments which are worth like cash in hand. So you just put your money in the bank so that you can easily access it. Okay. So that's the fifth attribute or element of the portrait of the person of influence. So let me quickly run through it so I can help you refresh. The portrait of the person of influence, 7 distinguishing factors. Number 1, I said they have discovered their areas of interest. Number 2, I said they have developed or are developing competence in their area of interest. Number 3, they have rendered service or they are rendering service for earnings, for rewards based on their competence. Number 4, they always endeavor to save from their earnings, Number 5, they invest from their earnings and their savings. And number 6, I said, number 6 where I'm going to. Now, number 6 is they multiply their earnings. They multiply their earnings to attain wealth. Now, they have rendered service. They've gotten value from it. They have saved from those earnings. So they have got earnings and then savings. Now, they have invested. So they have earnings, savings, and investments. What they now need to do is that they still try to multiply all of these things together. They try to multiply them. Now, it is evident that those people do not draw their resources from one channel alone. I mean, I've looked at people of influence. They don't acquire this influence. That is the resources that they have. They don't acquire it from just one channel. I mean, it's not just one business they are doing. It's not just one association that they belong to. It's not just one network that they connect themselves to. They ensure that they have many connected income streams. In fact, they may even have one product, and from that one product, they can have multiple channels of income from that one product. Somebody authors. I mean, imagine that I do this program right now, and from this program comes a book. From this program comes a coaching session. From this program comes a book, a coaching session, a training manual, a conference, a workshop. I mean, I could generate like 5 or 6 streams of income from this, even though this is what I'm doing here right now is free. Okay, guys, So they also leverage on the skills of other people to multiply their earnings. And so they have what we call multiple streams of income. So they have earned, they have saved, they have invested. Now they multiply all of these things. And here are a few suggestions of things that they do. So they get involved in what I call network marketing. So they do network marketing income. They get into royalty income. So they publish a book or they publish a song. I'm an artist, they publish a song and then they release it out there and then they earn royalties from it. They are employees, they're getting employee income. They are business owners, they're getting business income. They have invested, they're getting investment income. So they open up channels. It's not just one channel. Name anyone that is an influencer, a significant influencer, whether national, regional, or global influencer. These people multiply their earnings, not just from one source, but many channels. Okay. So the last one, number seven is these people of influence, they leave a legacy. They leave a legacy in life by giving to worthy causes. Okay. Sorry, excuse me. They leave a legacy by giving to worthy causes. The influential are also marked by their giving. You see, friends, they identify worthy causes that require their support. They identify worthy causes that require their support, whether financially or socially. They make connections and network available to promote things that are geared towards improving the quality of humanity. I mean, for the cause that they want to build, for the cause that they want to advance, they make themselves and their resources available. And that's what Andrew Carnegie was trying to attribute to when he wrote a treatise on wealth. He said that the duty of the wealthy, and I like you to listen to this, a little long, but I'm going to try to repeat it again and again so you can get the message, okay? Andrew Carnegie in his treatise on wealth said that the duty of the wealthy, amongst other things, is to consider all surplus revenues which come to him simply as trust funds. Consider all surplus revenues which come to you simply as trust funds. And he said, let me just read the quote. To consider all surplus revenues which come to him simply as trust funds, which he is called to administer and strictly bound as a matter of duty, to administer in a manner which in his judgment is best calculated to produce the most beneficial results for the community. He said, the man of wealth, thus becoming the mere agent and trustee for his poorer brethren, bringing to their service his superior wisdom, his experience, and ability to administer, doing for them better than they would or could do for themselves. Oh my God. And so this person of influence brings his own ability, his wisdom, his experience. I mean, it brings all these things together and begins to do for people what they can never do for themselves, or something better than they will have even done for themselves. And how does he do this? By seeing that all the things that come to him are trust funds. He's called as a trustee. He said, Andrew Carnegie said, the man of wealth is a mere agent and trustee for his poorer brethren. It's collecting wealth. And that's what these people of influence do. They leave a legacy by giving to worthy causes. Today, we talk about the Andrew Carnegie. We talk about so many foundations, the Ford Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, and all kinds of foundations that people have set. And then they have left this world, but their impact is continuous because they gave. And there are people that are living today, that are alive today. There are these influential people that are alive today that you can see how they are distributing the resources they have because they know that they are trustees for their power brethren. So friends, these influential people have a consciousness and an awareness that one, they are agents of community development, they are trustees of the poor, they are influencers of societal change, they are gap fillers, and they are people developers. I'll take that again. These influential people, they have a consciousness. They are very aware that they are agents of community development, that they are trustees of the poor, that they are influencers of societal change, that they are gap fillers, and they are people developers. Now, these are the 7 elements that describes the person of influence. I'll run through them so that we can just refresh our notes for those of us writing. So these are the 7 distinguishing patterns of the person of influence. 1, they have discovered their areas of interest. 2, they have developed or are developing competence in their area of interest. 3, they have rendered or are rendering service for earnings based on their competence. Number 4, they endeavor to save from their earnings. Number 5, they invest from what they have earned and saved. Number 6, they multiply their earnings. They multiply their earnings, their savings and investment by looking at more channels of income to themselves. And number 7, they leave a legacy by giving to worthy causes. Friends, so that's the part 1 of that's the first section of today, right? So let's quickly go into the second section, which is exploring the needs of these influential people. Now, the people I've just described, they've got needs. And I'm going to look at 4 types of needs that they have. 4 types of needs that they have. And here I'm going to share a bit of biblical examples so you can see and be able to relate almost immediately. All right. And as I share these things, please begin to open up your heart to see these people around you. As I was listing those traits of influential people, I'm sure certain names started to come to your mind. And please do not look at the people that are famous, because influence doesn't necessarily mean that you're famous. It just means that you have the capacity to get things done. All right. And you may never be very famous. In fact, you may never be very financially rich, but you can get things done through people because all the resources you need are either financial or non-financial or human and non-human resources, okay? So as I explore the needs of these people, I just do 4. I have not tried to use the Maslow's hierarchy of needs here because it doesn't readily sit with the subject. I mean, it's a very good and very lofty, something that's lasted for many years, very valid pyramid that talks about physiological self-belonging needs, self-actualization, and all of those things. All right, safety needs and all of that. So yeah. So what are the needs of the influential people? In discussing these needs, I'll attempt to identify a few scenarios. So the first need that these people have are personal needs. Now, these are very peculiar issues, very peculiar issues, and they are often very private issues, and they may not be as obvious to anyone that is not observant. Okay, see, they are peculiar issues, and they are often very private and may not be as obvious to anyone that is not observant. However, they represent challenges that must be resolved. They represent issues that must be attended to in their lives. 3 examples. David and Saul in 1 Samuel chapter 16 from verse 14 to 23. 1 Samuel chapter 16 from verse 14 to 23. Saul was always tormented by an evil spirit. Always tormented by an evil spirit. And guess what? They had to find him a musician. Someone that they said was skilled. Remember the word skilled there. Skilled in the playing of the harp. Because as the person played the harp, right, the evil spirit departed. And so there are personal needs that some of these people have. And see, I'm not saying that you should look for people who have spirits, spirits disturbing them. What I'm saying is that they have personal needs. Number 2, scenario. Was a leper. And as a leper, no matter how many things that he had accomplished, right? Naaman was a leper. No matter how many things he had accomplished as a as a warrior, as a Syrian warlord. The leprosy he had was a limiting factor for him, all right? And so Elisha was the man that he had to come to. He had to go to Elisha, and Elisha was the one that said to him, you know what? I have got the instruction, I've got the prescription that can get you very well. And so I'm not saying the people who have needs here have skin diseases, right? And I'm not saying that you must be a doctor. What I'm saying is needs. And these needs may not always be very evident. And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't always have to be spiritual needs or psychological needs or medical needs. It can be anything. I mean, look at the third example I have here, Daniel and Nebuchadnezzar. In Daniel chapter 2 from verse 1 to 49, Daniel chapter 2 from verse 1 to 49, Nebuchadnezzar forgot his dream. He dreamt and forgot his dream. And very earth that can do this. It's got to come from God or the gods, as they said it then. And so those are personal needs to them. People of influence will have personal. Number two, they have what I call social circle needs. Social circle needs. And these are not direct needs to the person of influence. They are not their own personal needs. It's not a personal challenge to them. But these are challenges that their family members have or their friends have. Okay, so one example, for time's sake. One example, Elijah and the widow of Zarephath. The widow of Zarephath had already provided for him when he came around. And from 1 Kings chapter 17, from verse 17 to 24, 1 Kings 17 to 24. And the woman said, come on, my son is sick and breath is almost gone out of him. He's about to die. Was this why you came here, to kill us? I mean, you came here, I said I didn't have so much food. You said, okay, that I should make for you first. I'd made for you. Now, okay, yes, we have began to enjoy the thing. The cruise is not failing. There's still a lot that we are getting, you know. But truth is, I mean, she had a sick son, and the son is about to die. Okay. The son is about to die. And she said, what is it? And so this widow of Zarephath was not the person that had a need. It was her son. Okay. Number three, group needs, personal needs, social circle needs, and then group needs. You see, these are needs of a set of people with similar aspirations or belonging to the same association or company. Okay, these are, I mean, a group need. So this person of influence is within a group of people, and this group has a need. Do you get that? So this person of influence is within an association, and this association has got a set of needs. So if we look at one example here, 2 Kings chapter 6 from verse 1 to 7. 2 Kings chapter 6 from verse 1 to 7. Elisha and the sons of the prophet. The sons of the prophet were going to live in a different place. They were going to have a new dwelling place for themselves. And as they were trying to cut beams that they can use to build, the axe head fell into the river. The axe head fell into that river. And as it fell into the river, they said, oh my God, we borrowed it. Somebody needs to help us. And so their need, they had to now go after, and they went to Elisha. In fact, before they were going to make a room for themselves, they beckoned on Elisha. They beseeched him. They begged him. They appealed to him to go with them. They didn't have to, but they said, you must go with us. You should go with us. And thankfully, when they had a challenge, he was available to sort them out. He was available to help intervene. All right. The axe head fell into the river, and then they called Elisha. So Elisha and the sons of prophets. So maybe it's one of some of the prophets' influential person. So yeah. Now, number four, the fourth need that they have is communal a societal or national need. So these people of influence are within a community or are within a society or are within a nation that has got needs. Now, this need is not their personal need, it's not their friend's need, it's not the need for the group that they belong, but the need of the community. And I'll show 2 examples here. Jephthah and the elders of Israel. In Judges chapter 11 from verse 1 to 33. Judges 11 from verse 1 to 33. I mean, we know the story of Jephthah. Jephthah had been born and he had to be chased out of the house because he was not the son of the, should we say, legal wife of the house. And so his stepbrothers chased him away. And even though he had a lot of skills, I mean, he had competence that before he left, everybody knew what he was capable of doing. Okay. But the people of Israel had a problem. The Bible said the children of Ammon warred against Israel. They warred against Israel, and Israel did not have a way to solve that problem. So they went for Jephthah. So the elders of Israel went for Jephthah, right? So that's a communal need, that's a societal, that's a national need. Number 2, expand or scenario to identify that 4th need is Elisha and the king of Israel. Elisha and the king of Israel. In 2 Kings chapter 6 from verse 24 through to 2 Kings chapter 7, verse 1 to 20. 2 Kings chapter from verse 1 to 20. We're told how king was perplexed. In fact, the king got so angry, he said they should go and bring down the head of Elijah. So go and cut off his head. Go and cut off his head. Women were killing their children to eat. I mean, they are now the children. I mean, women were killing their children for food. They were killing their children for food. And I mean, the Syrian army had now even besieged the cities of, the gates of Samaria, and nobody could move out. Okay, nobody could move out. So food could not come in, nothing could go out. The Syrian army warred against Israel, and the king of Israel only had Elisha to help him solve that problem. The king, being an influential person, could not solve his communal needs, could not solve his national or societal needs. He needed Elisha. So, having said that, friends, the second part of this conversation today, the needs of these people. 1, they've got personal needs. And so if you're looking to solve problems for these people, you want to look at themselves. Number 2, you need to look at their circle, their social circle. Is there someone around them who have a challenge? Friends, neighbors, family. Number 3, the group that they belong to. The group that they belong to. Okay? Are they part of an association that has a problem? Are they part of a group of people that have a problem? But I mean, social groups, affiliations. Yep. And the 4th is their nation. Are they within a place, a nation, a society, a community that has great needs? And they can influence your ability to bring solution to those needs. All right? Did you get that? They are not just within a nation. I mean, many of us are nations and communities that have problems. But many of us don't have the influence to bring you in to the place to solve some national problems, all right? Okay, so that's the second part of this conversation today. Now let's go to the last part today. How do you become associated with these people of influence? How do you become associated with these people of influence? I mean, I've told you today about who they look like, their portrait, right? I said they're people who have discovered their areas of interest. There are people who have developed competence or are developing competence in their areas of interest. Number 3, portrait. They have rendered service based on their competence and they earn from those service. Number 4 is that they save from their earnings. Number 5 is that they invest their earnings and their savings, right? Number 6 is that they multiply by opening themselves up to more channels of income. And number 7 is that they give to worthy causes. And I said they have 4 needs, majorly 4 needs. The first need is their personal needs, and I give you examples. The second is their social circle needs. Now, the third, how do you become associated with people like this? How? How do you become associated with them? I'll give you 6 ways, and then I'll end for today, for this week. And then I'll tell you what we would be doing or be sharing next week, which is the final part. And yeah, so number one way to become associated with these people of influence is to add value to them. You see, identify what they consider important. Identify what they consider important. There are things that are important to you that are not important to them. And see how you can help, one, improve what is important to them, protect what is important to them, and multiply what is important to them. Okay, whatever thing is important to them, see how you can help them improve it, protect it, or multiply it. Identify projects that they are seeking to pursue and see how you can connect them to people. Maybe because in case you don't have, see, this is not about just having the skill, the technical skill. Remember we talked about conceptual, human relations, and technical skill. So it's not just about you having a technical skill to solve the problem. I mean, somebody needs a carpenter. I mean, and you don't have a carpenter, right? I mean, you can't do carpentry work. It doesn't mean that you cannot connect them to those who can help them. And so, I mean, identify what is important to them and see how you can help them improve it, protect it, and multiply it. Identify projects that they are seeking to pursue and see how you can connect them to people. See how you can connect them to information. See how you can connect them to resources that will facilitate the realization of this project. All right. So these are the things that you need to do. And all of the things I just said now is about adding value. So identify. I mean, adding value comes from you identifying what is important to them, identify their projects, and see how you can improve, protect, multiply, and how you can connect them to people, connect them to information, and connect them to resources. Number two way to become associated with the people of influence is to acknowledge their need for privacy. Excuse me. Acknowledge their need for privacy. You see, you can get close to them, but do this as far as they permit you. You see, don't try to make uncanny jokes about their loved ones. Know their business in ways that they will be comfortable with it. And never share what they reveal to you. Be trusted for confidentiality. Acknowledge their need for privacy. Because you see, you may be dealing with some of their personal needs. You may be dealing with some of the needs of their social circle. And they've got to trust you with some of this information. You've got to be a confidential person. So get close to them. Try as much as possible to get close. And if you can't get close to them, you know they are friends. You see, so you get closer to them. You have helps to explain this very well. You want to X, somebody you want to join. You know someone. And so you already have a path to them, path to them, path to them. And don't try to make unkind about them, okay? Know their business in ways that they can be comfortable and never share what they reveal to you. So get close to them. Find a way to get close to them by identifying people that are close to them and offering value to those people. And I mean, you'll get to know this next week when we talk about some other things. Yeah. So acknowledge their need for privacy, but get to know them closely. Number three, be gracious towards them. Be gracious towards them. Compliment their good work. Appreciate their gestures. Give gifts to them, right? By getting them the things that they need and value. Compliment them. Appreciate their gestures. Give gifts to them by giving them things that they value. And it's not about the cost of the item that you give them as much as it's about the thoughtfulness of the act. See, in this world where you can just mail anything to anyone, you know, a few years ago, I got a book from a man called Charles Swindoll. Charles Swindoll wrote a book I forgot the title of the book now. Yeah, I mean, I got a gift book from him. I got a book from him, and I thought that this person of influence. I mean, this was during my undergraduate days as a student. So this person, I thought this book. So I got it. I got the address of this man in Lagos. He was a chairman of the board of the company. I wrapped it up, sealed it, and mailed it to him. And I said, "This is from me, Olumuyiwa Oludayo, to you. This is who I am, da 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 da." And it got me a lot of opportunities. Be gracious to them, compliment their work, appreciate their gestures, give gifts to them by getting them the things that they need and value. You see, you may want to get at the attention of someone. Get them a gift. It's their birthday. Get them a gift. Wrap it up. You know the address. Send it to the address and put a little note in it. And they'll be wondering, who is this person? Because these people also are very courteous in their ways. So they'll say, who is this person? And they'll reach out to you. And you possibly will get in that big question, what do you want me to do for you? So it's not about the cost of the item as much as it's about the thoughtfulness of the item. Number 4, keep in touch with them. Now, by the time you begin to get close to them and you have a relationship with them, keep in touch. Send them messages once in a while. I mean, I have a friend, a very senior friend, who is an ambassador designate to one of the nations of the world. And I met her at a conference that I was a speaker at. She was the main speaker. I was not like one of the co-speakers or something, or what they call cover speakers. All right. I was doing a cover for her. She was to speak. She was the main speaker, but I was also speaking ahead of her. And I saw how much she captured all the things I shared and posted them online. I mean, God, that was interesting. And we became friends. I organized opportunities for her to come to the university, and got her to be loved. I got my students to give her gifts. Because I knew she loved music. She loved how to play she knows how to play the keyboard. So I got the classical choir of my school to do a piece with her. I mean, I organized a lunch for her after the event, and all of those things made impressions on her. But guess what? That was me being gracious to her. But I kept in touch, and I kept in touch. And after that, I've had many more opportunities to have a speaking engagement with her. So socialize with them, attend their speaking engagement, attend their performance events, and just keep in touch. Just let them know that you're around. And number 5, be aligned with their philosophy. Be aligned with their philosophy. The influential people will keep you around if you share similar mindsets with them. Influential people will keep you around if you share similar mindset with them. They are always thinking big about their quests. I have a friend in 2012 or so. Yeah, we're planning an event, Covenant University at 10. And then he told me, he said, when you let us bring Mark Zuckerberg. I said, what? Mark Zuckerberg, do we have resources? Do we even know him? I mean, he turned my mind, and they always think big about their quests. And I mean, I just had to align. They value and prioritize others. They have very strong work ethics and are always original. So in getting close and nurturing your association with these people of influence, be aligned with their philosophy. Because the moment you're not aligned with their philosophy, they will keep you at arm's length. They will just put you away. And number 6, show personal progress. That's the final point. Show personal progress. You see, friends, project definiteness of purpose in your actions. Don't let these people see you as a burden. They keep progressive-minded people around them. See, people of influence keep progressive people. Show them that you're growing, you're making progress. Make them accountability partners to support your transitions. Making them accountability partners to support your transitions. Oh, this is what I'm doing now. This is what I'm doing next. What I'm doing next. What I'm doing next. Let them know how they are positively influence your growth. Show them that you are growing, you're moving on. The moment they can see this, guess what? They will help you to unlock more opportunities. They will help you to unlock more ways by which you can commit your skills and your competencies. All right. And so 6 things that will enable you to get associated with these people of influence. Number one, add value to them. Acknowledge their need for privacy. Be gracious towards them. Keep in touch with them. Be aligned with their philosophy. Show personal progress. Friends, that's the final part of today's presentation on becoming a consultant to leaders. I run through, I like to do this a lot, so maybe because I have a background of teaching what have we done today? What exactly have we shared today? We have looked at the portrait of the person of influence. They have discovered their areas of interest. They have developed or are developing competence in their areas of interest. They have rendered service or are rendering service for earnings based on their competence. Number 4, they always endeavor to save from their earnings. Number 5, they invest from their earnings and their savings. Number 6, they multiply their earnings by opening more channels to attain greater wealth. And number 7, they leave a legacy by giving to worthy causes. The second thing we did today was to explore the needs of these influential people. And I talked about 4 classes of needs that they have: personal needs, social circle needs, group needs, and communal, societal, or national needs. And the third part, we talked about how to become associated with people of influence. And I said, add value to them, acknowledge their need for privacy, be gracious towards them, keep in touch, be aligned with their philosophy, and show personal progress. Friends, having said that, we've come to the end of the part 2 of becoming a consultant to kings. And the focus of our part 2 today was understanding the needs of the people of influence. In part 1, focus was on unveiling your capacity to solve problems. Part 1 was about unveiling your capacity to solve problems. Part 2, which we just completed, is about understanding the needs of the people of influence. Part 3, which is next week, is about engaging the principles behind problem solving. And in this, I'll be looking at people like Elisha, Daniel, Joseph, Jephthah, and David. I'll be helping us to identify what are those spiritual forces that are required for problem solving. I'll show you how all of these men, explore what I call the revelational gifts of the Spirit: word of knowledge, word of wisdom, and the word of revelation. Prophecies and all of that. You'll see how these people who solve problems for leaders, who solve problems for kings, who solve problems for people of influence, engage the spiritual forces. And I'll also be sharing next week with you how you can be found. How do you become a rallying point? How do you become sought after? How do you exactly become sought after? If you don't know these people, how do they come across you? I'll be showing you how you can leverage on the people that work with these people of influence, how you can leverage on their relatives and all of that. And then I'll be showing you a couple of principles that you can engage. One of the principles is being concerned for other people. Joseph in the prison was concerned about the wealth of the butler and the baker. That was what got him. Another principle, recommendation. You see, many people, you may never have access to a place of influence until you are recommended. And you can never be recommended until people have had an experience with your capacity. All right. And so I'll share a couple of these principles when we talk in part 3, engaging the principles behind problem solving. But for today, I'd like to thank you for making your time to be here with me. I hope I added value to you. I hope I've been able to improve you and give you sufficient resources that can make you a better life, a better person in your career, in your family, and ultimately someone who is a value-adding personality. Having said that, I want to say thank you very much for giving me your time, and I hope to see you when we do the part 3 of becoming a consultant to leaders. My name remains Olumuyiwa Akinole Oludare. Thank you very much, and God bless you.